Batya Ungar-Sargon is here, deputy opinion editor at Newsweek. Okay, forget for a second just how rich this is coming from the Mexican president. Does he have a point?
I mean, Leland, you set it up so perfectly. On the one hand, of course, we know that the deaths of despair, suicide, alcoholism, and fentanyl and drug overdoses is directly tied to enormous problems we have in this country in terms of valuing and respecting every American and making sure that there's upward mobility for working class Americans. We know, we can agree that that is a huge problem in this country. Although, you know, there's something really, our people would call it chutzpah, right? To have somebody who is the very source of all of that fentanyl lecturing us about this problem that we have.
Yeah, no, it's pretty remarkable, as you would say, the chutzpah that it takes to do that. And you think about the difference between the United States and Mexico, a homicide rate 4 times as high as America's in Mexico, a per capita income less than a tenth, life expectancy 10 years shorter. The question, though, I think becomes, and you point out rightly, that many of the problems in America from drugs are coming from drugs from Mexico, most if not all. Which came first, though? And this is an important question. Did the despair in America come first, and that allowed an easy turn to drugs in Appalachia and in Mississippi and other places that the fentanyl crisis has really taken hold? Or is it that there was sort of cheap drugs available pushed by the Mexican cartels, and that created the problems in so much of America?
Well, I think the question we should be asking is which came first, Obrador's criticism of America or his intense desire to defend the cartels, right? Because this criticism came out of him accusing us of spying for arresting, 50 members of one of these huge Mexican cartels that effectively run the country, right? I mean, at this point, Mexico has become a narco state that is completely committed to allowing the cartels to bring in millions and millions of illegal immigrants, and of course all of this fentanyl. Obrador denies that it's being produced in Mexico. It's being produced in Mexico. The army has been falsifying records to act like they are actually doing raids on these labs where they produce fentanyl. They haven't been doing the raids. So it's produced sometimes in China and brought to Mexico and then allowed into America, but it is also being produced there. And honestly, Leland, we need to be much more tough on them. President Biden is not going to respond to Obrador because it's a little bit like a little dog yapping in your face, right? I mean, it's not really a threat when he sits there and criticizes us, right? We're big. We can understand when we have real problems and that we need to address them. He's not going to respond to it. But our response to this fentanyl crisis has been embarrassing. We are just allowing this to happen, and we need to be a lot stronger on this.
I'm not sure as much as this is just a little dog yapping, because when somebody says, hey, you guys are the problem, and they're the ones creating the problem, sometimes a strong bark back can get a response. And Obrador has completely changed his tune. Granted, he's always been soft on the cartels. He ran on this hugs, not bullets campaign strategy for his third time. Third time was a charm for him to win the presidency. But I think about what you said about the accusations of spying. Blake Berman asked John Kirby of the White House about Obrador's comments, and this is what the White House's response was. Take a listen to the question and the answer.
Generally speaking, how can the U.S. rely on Mexico as a partner in the fight against the cartels when an arrest like that is viewed as a negative?
I'll certainly let President Lopez Obrador speak to his comments. The president had a great discussion in Mexico City with both President Lopez Obrador and Prime Minister Trudeau about the need to continue to put pressure on drug traffickers.
I'm trying to figure out what was great about the conversation.
Listen, at the end of the day, we had a president who was able to get this under control. It was the president right before this one, President Trump. There's a lot we can do on our side, irrespective of whether or not Obrador is in the pockets of the cartels, to protect the American people. And so at the end of the day, it is a lot less important what Obrador is saying and a lot more important what President Biden is not doing.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.